Thank you very much, Carrie. So I'd now like to introduce, what we're going to have is both speakers, and then we're going to take questions at the end. So our next speaker is Suzanne Stewart. Suzanne Stewart is a professor in the Dell Atlanta School of Public Health and has just moved onto my floor, or our floor, and is also the director of the Wake Up Innes Bryce Institute for Indigenous Health, and holds a Canadian Research Chair in Aboriginal Homelessness and Life Transitions. She's also a member of the Yellowknife Dene First Nation. So, Suzanne.
Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone for inviting me here, and thank you to Dr. Bourassa for her excellent presentation. I feel really honored to be sharing this venue with her, so thank you. I want to talk for a second. There's a lot of things I want to talk about, but in 15 minutes, I'm not sure how much I'm going to get in. But you heard Dr. Strasser acknowledge the territory, and you heard Dr. Bourassa acknowledge the territory, and I'm here to also acknowledge the land. And I'm wondering if anyone here knows why we do that. Sir? I know you know. You're not allowed to say. No one at this table can say. Let's hear from back there. So it's about treaties.
Well, I think in BC they started it to acknowledge that they were.
Who's they? Who in BC started acknowledging the territory? I'm not from BC. Okay, so it was started politically because of unceded territory.
But you have to acknowledge the land because the land is alive and you're part of the land. The land is part of us.
Well, now we're getting where I'm going with this. So I was taught by my parents and my grandparents to acknowledge the land. You know, this is a paying respects to the people who live here now. But when we acknowledge the land, which is where this starts, we're acknowledging that we're in a relationship with the natural environment. And as Indigenous people, our identity is very closely tied to our relationship with the land. And by virtue of that, our health and our well-being is tied to the land and our relationship to the land. And every day when we get up, and every day when we move, and every day when we eat, and every day when we talk and share relationships with other people, we're doing that in relationship with the land. And that's something, as part of our knowledge system, we're taught to be aware of in every action and every movement that we do. And that's why we acknowledge the land when we gather, because we need to let everyone know that all of our well-being is resting on our relationship with what's under our feet, with what we breathe in, with what we touch, with what we eat, with what's around us. So the land acknowledgement is not necessarily about the political stuff or about history or about respecting our relationships. It is about respecting our relationships, but it's first and foremost about respecting our relationship with the land in order to maintain our health and well-being. And I think that's really important to know, especially right now in this era of so-called reconciliation, which I'm really sick of hearing, and I'll explain why in a few minutes. Because right now everyone's jumping on the bandwagon of doing this. And I've actually been to gatherings where these people who don't know what it means and don't know what they're doing unwrap a piece of paper and they start reading something in the most canned and really disrespectful and abominable way, in which the meaning and the spirit of the intention to acknowledge the land is not there. And that's even worse than not doing that, in my opinion, because the authenticity and what we call in our cultures have many ethics that are similar across different nations. Here they call it the 7 grandfather teachings. Where I'm from, they call it the Dene laws. The Haudenosaunee have their laws. All the peoples have their laws. The Christians have their laws, the 10 Commandments. All groups have their laws and rules about what it means to be a good person. And in our cultures, here, my children are Dene, but they go to Anishinaabe school. They come home with all these ethics and rules of how to live, and that's about honesty. Honesty means acting in genuineness. It means it's better to succeed it's better to fail in truth-telling and genuineness than to succeed in fraud. So when I hear people reading this canned version with, saying all the words wrong and, it's not there. That's not genuine. That's not honest. And there's no meaning to it. So I also want to acknowledge not just my relationship with the land, but my relationship with my ancestors. Actually, I was with my great-grandparents, but I don't have any pictures of them. But these are my grandparents that I was raised by until I was about 3 or 4. They lived in Yellowknife in Delo.